Germany invented the wiener. Japan heard about it, studied it, and then made something different in almost every way. Within a single year of launching their version, they had sold 10 billion yen worth of it. This is the story of how Japan out-Germaned the Germans. The story starts in 1868, the Meiji Restoration. Japan threw open its doors to Western culture and Western food. The new government didn't just permit meat eating, it actively promoted it, lifting centuries of Buddhist restrictions and hiring European experts to modernize the country's food production. German butchers arrived in the port cities and taught Japanese meat processors how to make sausages. The knowledge transferred. And then Japan went its own way. The European wiener was finely ground, smooth, uniform. What Japanese makers produced instead was coarser, chunks of pork you could see, rough cut and visible in the casing. They made the links shorter. They changed the seasoning entirely. Soy sauce, ginger, sake, a touch of sweetness. The smoke was dialed back to mild. The casing kept snapping tight. The result was something that looked like it came from Bavaria, but tasted like it had always belonged in a Tokyo kitchen. They called the style ARABIKI SAUSAGE, which simply means coarse grind. It describes a technique, but it became an identity, which is why the sound matters. An ARABIKI sausage doesn't give way quietly. The casing, sheep gut, tight and thin, snaps. That crack is not incidental. The coarse grind traps fat and juice in visible pockets throughout the meat. When the casing breaks, everything rushes out at once. Mild smoke, clean pork, a note of sweetness that shouldn't work, but does. It's a small sound, but for anyone who grew up eating these in Japan, it's enormous, compact enough for a compartmentalized box, juicy enough to hold for hours. The ARABIKI sausage was built for the bento without anyone planning it that way. And once bento culture turned packed lunch into an act of care, the sausage became a canvas. Someone scored the end of a link into thin strips and dropped it into boiling water. The strips curled outward like tentacles. What was a plain sausage became a tiny grinning octopus, the Tako-san wiener. A small smile tucked into a lunchbox. That impulse scaled into an entire culture. Kyaraben, character-bento, where Hello Kitty ears and Pokemon faces were built from nori and rice and sliced links. The ARABIKI sausage was the perfect building block, firm enough to hold its shape, forgiving enough to be cut into anything. But here's what the story of Japanese ARABIKI actually turns on. In 1985, a food company called Nippon Ham launched a product called Shao Essen. The name is German. It means show and eat. The product was ARABIKI, coarse ground pork, sheep casing, light smoke. Within 12 months, it had generated 10 billion yen in sales. The year after, 26 billion yen. Japan had been learning sausage making since the Meiji era. But the sausage that now sits in every konbini hot case, every supermarket aisle, every school lunchbox in the country, the one that feels oldest, most familiar, most embedded in daily life, is essentially 40 years old. A single product launch. The whole country adopted it as a comfort food so completely that within a generation, no one needed to remember where it came from. That's the thing about the ARABIKI sausage. It doesn't ask you to remember its history. It just sits in a bento box, sizzles under glass in a convenience store, or curls its little tentacle legs on a bed of white rice and feels like it has always been there. Germany gave Japan the idea. Japan turned it into something the whole country forgot wasn't ancient. Next time, we're going deeper into the foods Japan quietly made its own. Don't go anywhere.